flowers from the neighborhood, and ants too. I like to give all the flowers I collect a nice bath because, goodness me, it's hot out there. Good morning. Sunday, 21st January 2024. It's the Daily Egg, but actually it's One Take News. Season 2. Now, why am I saying Season 2? Well, because it was Season 1. It wasn't actually, but now that we're restarting, then might as well make it seasonal, right? I miss doing the news. I miss sharing the news. I miss sharing news headlines. So this is what we're doing today while we're also doing the Daily Egg. Now, regular viewers know that actually on Sundays we do the fancy egg, but it is about 68 degrees Celsius for Fahrenheit people. I'm sorry, it's Celsius I'm talking, and that was a joke, because if you're thinking 68 degrees, you're thinking in Fahrenheit, and that's not a big deal to you. But yeah, 68 degrees for us would mean actually essentially that we're dead. But anyway, let's not be so morbid. So, One Take News. We're back, and I've got some news headlines from around the world to share with you, with my brand of opinion, for want of a better term. So we'll start soon. But for those of you who missed out on the wonderful opening scene, hello, my darling.
Hello.
These are the flowers I this morning collect from around the neighborhood. People get very weird. So when I walk around the neighborhood, there are people who know that I do this, so, you know, it's all cool. Everyone knows that the mad lady down the road comes and prunes the plants, etc. But,
You've been called Flower Child.
Flower Child, and then people call me Flower Child. But there was this new one. So, this is the tree that I was taking this off is these ones. Look, they're lovely. It's on the street. I never take from people's personal gardens, oh my gosh, until I ask them if I can. But then the children started screaming from inside, like, and then I thought they were just playing, and then I heard them say, look, she's touching it! She's taking it! And I'm like, oh, okay. And then all of a sudden, the father came out and said, can you leave some flowers for us? I'm like, yeah, I'm only taking... But that's white. You're a white family. What a sense of... But there's two sides to it. So I understand that there are people who just go ahead and take all the flowers and leave nothing for people to see. And I get that. But I also know that hibiscus bushes just get left to rot, and these boughs I have taken are from branches that get, from our garden, etc. So I understand that people don't know my intentions and don't know what I do with them. And with the plants, I'm not going to decimate their bushes. That's on public thoroughfares. But the ownership was weird from childhood. The children are screaming from inside the house, she's taking everything! You know?
Yeah, well.
When I was just looking around at taking photos. And that is insane. That ownership of something that's not even inside their property boundary, and thinking that because it's in front of their house, then no one else is allowed access to it. And that, my friends, is colonization entitlement. Holy cow. That was really, really something to... And and of course, because being white, you're a white, these people didn't, I guess this guy didn't expect me to be me. So he probably thought that I was going to, being Indian, I was going to, because I do understand, and particularly people of multicultural don't always understand. I'm going to have to say this, being Indian myself, thoroughly. Sometimes people don't understand sharing, so they think that if a plant is there, they'll take it but it's also weird. I don't really know if that's true what I'm saying, or an extreme. I think people think this is bounty from Earth. We'll take it, it'll grow back. That's what plants do. I get that everybody wants to have access to beauty, right?
Yeah.
But there's an interesting line here. So I don't know where. But now, I mean, obviously, if he didn't come out and say, look, don't take all the flowers, I wouldn't have been able to reassure that that's not what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It was just the sense, and maybe because they get frustrated, but it was the sense of ownership.
Yeah.
And I don't know what is wrong or right about this. So I assured them, but first of all, I had to show a little bit of bluster myself. Like, this is not on your property. You don't know me from a bar of soap, but I assure you I am merely taking a secondary branch of another full branch. But this ownership is weird.
Yeah.
You know, and then he was like, oh, no, you know, people just take... I'm like, sure, but I assure you I'm not going to do that, and I understand why you need to tell me that. So thank you, and now we know. I live... it was just the children, though.
Yeah.
Small white boys saying that's theirs.
Yeah, right.
That really shook me. But anyway, welcome to One Take News. So, where do we start? What this is, for those of you who are not familiar, is I bookmark headlines throughout the week, headlines that have really stood out to me, or I want to deep dive or take further. This is going to be a very casual One Take News. I'm just going to read out headlines. I usually do deep dives on other on particular stories. By deep dives, I mean I go further. So we're just doing a casual Sunday because, as I said, it's really, really hot in Sydney right now, which is lovely, but it's very dehydrating for the ground. So luckily we've had a wonderful few days of showers, rain, steady rain, not thick, heavy rain, but the kind of rain that actually permeates the hard ground and is able to, actually hydrate. Reminder, have you had water today? Hydrate. And I feel all very, cool saying that, but usually I forget until my husband sort of puts a glass in front of my face, and even then I'll be like... And then Duane doesn't like telling anyone what to do. He is very much the case of, well, people all have autonomy and independence in that regard. So I've had to tell you, my darling, well, some of us don't actually remember. Interestingly, I am finding out, I'm reading a lot of things on social media, and because the accounts I follow on social media are all news and spiritual and the world and science and facts and funny things, and so my algorithms are very informative, and as I have said before, your algorithm depends on what it is you seek in life and on social media, in society and on social media. So because I've been looking for some answers for things, or actually these have just been popping up by themselves, I'm realizing that the trauma that I suppressed for 45 years, or 50 years actually, because I've had it from the moment I was born. I was born into a traumatic butt privilege, for those of you who don't recall, nor whatever. I have stopped talking about that a lot, but I still refer to it because all of this is normal now. My trauma, or what was the trauma that was responsible for a lot of my behavior or outlook, and the way I felt about myself, is not separate from me. And I have explained to regular viewers that trauma needs to be made into something that you can nurture, like a puppy, because not a puppy. It's a living teddy bear inside you that becomes a monstrous thing when you do not know yourself.
Mogwai.
Yeah, a mogwai into gremlin. Trauma is a part of you because that which was a part of you became traumatized. It is not you, however. So, I've normalized everything about all of this. I will talk. I talk very freely about the violence, the rapes, the PTSD, the suicidal ideation. I'm very open about all of these things because fuck it. It's all, if we're all feeling it, please, come on, get over yourselves. No one's better than the other. I thought, what did I think was I was doing by being so stoic in my suppression of trauma? Having said that, there's way too many people who get, attention for their misery, because you get more attention for misery and your trauma than your actual joy and healing. So this is why most people who are weak within themselves choose to continue getting attention from the trauma. Or you're in denial like I was, and you think you're above everybody and you judge everybody's ability to, because like, get on with it, I did, kind of thing, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, this is one take news, but there you go. This is what really gets given my observations, not opinions, because as I have also mentioned to regular viewers, there is no such thing as an objective opinion. Observation and factual and logic, sure, and those are harder things to come to. We have observations, and opinions are subjective, because opinions are, unless of course they're factual opinions, like scientific, and you've got to go against what it is you feel to understand a fact and logic for it to be an opinion. Yes? Otherwise, everything is subjective according to how you feel about something. So this is why the whole beauty is in the eye of the beholder, because beauty is subjective. So you can see an absolutely beautiful, supposedly beautiful thing, but if you're not, if you don't have feelings about it, so you're then, yeah, it's subjective. Thank you. Anyway, so we'll continue with One Take News. Now, as I was saying, social media algorithm, etc. My darling, are you keeping a watch on the time?
Yes.
Well, let's just say an hour from now.
Yeah.
Okay? So, great. So, good morning, honey. How are you? Your 23rd year now? You have...
From now?
Yes. Yeah. Have you accumulated 22 years? This is how I look at age. I look at age as an accumulation of experience and wisdom of the time you have been on this planet. So on my next birthday, I will have accumulated 53 years of experience, observations, knowledge, and those observations, lived experience, 24th. Great, okay. Oh, that's right, because you had, Azrael had said, you don't tick the 25 and up box yet. So, I was saying that when searching in the algorithm, I've been finding out information about ADHD symptoms and autism. Now, this is becoming more and more prevalent. And it's not a case of, everybody's saying, that's right, I must be ADHD or autistic. What is actually quite scary is that a hell of a lot of people are. And that is very, very scary. That so a lot of people exist masking fragmented brains. I'm not a medical professional, so please understand anything I share here is a result of copious amounts of information, seeking, curating, gathering, reading, absorbing, unpacking, dissecting. You and I, Duane and I really... and logic and fact and emotional truth combined to find the harmony that is, fact actually, logic and truth kind of thing combined. We're all fragmented, and society is such that it has caused us all to mask in order to fit in. Or we have to adapt ourselves around the construct of society rather than making society our bitch. It's crazy. So we've all fragmented. So now this is the other thing. ADHD and autism, to my understanding, can exist in people who have not experienced trauma. But that means somewhere along the line something has fragmented the brain. Again, not a medical professional, just from what I understand about myself, using myself as the guinea pig to, figure out, is it you? I realize I exhibit a lot of ADHD symptoms. And it makes absolute sense. It makes me feel like, oh, God, this is so good. So I'm not nutsos or, constantly at war within myself, etc. It's trauma that fragments the brain. I have told you, shared with you, that the brain doesn't stop growing till we're about 25, 26. And it is quite a dangerous thing we do to, especially to our young people. We encourage the coolness side of things, of adulthood. Go get cool and get fucked up off your brain, starting from teenagehood, The crucial years when our brains are growing, we're encouraged to go be cool. Because destroying yourself apparently is what is considered cool now. Anyway, so the brain grows till about 25. And if you have experienced childhood trauma, if in your childhood all you knew was trauma, and that can be the extremes of trauma, where it's just someone who is just dumping their trauma on you verbally or emotionally by not giving the child what is needed, because as I have said, babies don't come into this world with love, with emotions. It gets imprinted on them. They come out with a DNA imprint, right? So however that womb is feeling is how the child is going to come out with. However the womb is. So the womb is the woman's responsibility. So however the woman is feeling, but women can mask whatever's going on, right? So then the child starts to develop the understanding of emotions from the external, like comes out and the baby is like the child is now experiencing people around them going, oh my God, kind of thing. But it really does start from the DNA imprint from inside. So what I'm saying is that emotions we learn.
Yep.
Everything is learned. So children then get terribly confused. Like children are just, blank canvases of love, really. And then we get terribly confused because our brains are still forming. Our bones aren't the only things that grow. Our brains grow.
Hate is taught.
Hate is taught. Absolutely, we know that. We see that in examples of racism. You'll see a deeply melanated child and a Euro-white child hand in hand playing blah blah blah. And but it's only. And I know that it's sort of because in my childhood, when we lived in Fiji on Blackenbow Road, and my next door neighbors were we were friends with the family, and they were twins, two girls, younger than me, and I playmates. But I was also best friends with an Indo-Fijian girl called Rupal. Now, I loved Rupal, and then I would say to my Euro-white friends, the twins next door, like, can Rupal come and play? And then they sort of said no, because they didn't like her smell. Because she came from an Indo-Fijian family, whereas mine was not. Even though we were traditional. I don't even know how to explain that without making it sound stupid. But so they said,
It does sound stupid.
It sounds so fucked up. It's the reality. And I went, what do you mean? And they said that she smells funny, and she just smelled like curry, which to me is lovely. She just smelled like, because she actually, spices. Oh, you have a beautiful palm. And when I say she smells like curry, because Rupal was a really good cook. She was actually learning with her mother in the kitchen. I was just sitting there going, Mom, what's to eat? I didn't learn. So I absolutely understood something about the twins next door, and I made sure they paid. And no one's talking about Brian Rupel. Like, who the fuck do they think they were? Excuse me. Just because I had a very strong British accent at that time. And of course, you know, we may be Indo-Fijians, but we're acceptable to the white people. I mean, my house was opposite the British High Commissioner's residence. It was huge. It's still there. It's a mansion. And of course, then it's okay to play with me because I grew up in England, you know, and I speak with a British accent. And so that's why I was deemed acceptable. Fuck that. For me, it was like, yeah, but you're not Indo. You're not multicultural, so therefore, I'm sorry, you don't... If you're not multicultural, you don't kind of register... And I love all people, truly. I don't discriminate. I have Euro-white friends galore. Truly. I don't discriminate on racial and skin, you know. For me, it's, as I have explained, the shades of melanin are absolutely deep to absolutely none. So, this is news. So, now I'm getting to it. The first thing I want to read about. So many of us are now absolutely vibing with ADHD symptoms because so many of us are traumatized and our minds are fragmented. And because people don't understand what the hell is wrong with them, yeah, I don't know. But I'm just going to head to news now. So, one news headline I am going to talk about. Oh, let me just finish off a little bit. Actually, now this is a symptom of ADHD, right? That I don't actually finish what I am saying. Hi. So I recognize I haven't been diagnosed with ADHD and all that because there are also some things I recognize that are not me because of the coping mechanisms some of us have put into place to make sure we are highly functional. I think they call it executive function, highly functional, fragmented brains. So many of us, not so many of us actually, we have bravado. So we're all like tough and cool and confidence galore, but off stage is like, you know. So, I mean, those of you who are long-term viewers and know that I have been very open about all of that. Yeah, it's great. But as I said, evolution, people, we're moving on. It's 2024. This is a different age we're in. Even if you do not believe this stuff, and I'm reading this headline from ABC News, New Age Conspiritualism. Focus of new Australian research as young people turn away from traditional religion. Well, hello. Traditional religion is fucking up this world right now, which is really sad. And it's not the religion so much. It's the people who insist on applying that religion to everything. Religion, as I have also shared with regular viewers, was merely a guidance system. But people who cannot guide themselves have latched onto it as a tool for control. Goodness me. So, this news thing. So, I understand because, again, regular viewers know that I am very much into astrology because I look at astrology as being a science and the first science of watching the sky and reading the stars, the patterns, the constellations, understanding that there is constant movement and flux. Over hundreds of years, the differences and those patterns were written down and taken, and then astronomy became a thing in the 1700s. You know, I feel like it's the 1700s all over again.
Wow.
There's an interesting theory you have posited, my darling. That's another conversation. This is a very casual intro to One Take News. I'm still getting there.
Maybe a transition?
A transition. So it's a combination of the Daily Egg and the One Take News. So, but unfortunately, the people they've gone to actually interview. I'll read this, right? This is from ABC Australia. At a breezy bush camp in the Kimberley, Raquel is gazing into a mirror, seeking a moment of truth. She inhales deeply and smiles quietly. There's change coming, and it's going to be huge, she says. The energy is growing. I can feel it everywhere, and I'm not the only one. Look, mate, Look, I have got to tell you, I have to really battle a major eye roll. I know you do.
But this is a young woman.
Yeah.
So this is the next evolution of human being.
And because me as a Gen X is like, oh, for fuck's sake. But also, she's not wrong. And she's a Euro white woman, a young Euro white woman. And I have also shared that the less traumatized you are, the more privilege you have to think esoterically, to be able to take in concepts and embrace them. Euro white people have always been the first ones to jump that thing, because they take from all the ancients, they take from what is already existing, and they seem to chip some things out, like, fuck all that side of things, let's just go straight into the spirituality. So that's also used as a masking thing. So yoga, they forget completely that yoga, even just standing still and being in here and breathing and aligning your breath with your mind. And I'm going to join us soon. We will align together. And just standing still is yoga. It is a mind thing, not a physical body thing that blah blah blah. You know. So anyway, that's what, just citing the example of that. Now, there is definitely something going on, and it would have to be the most obtuse, coldest, frankly, I don't know, just absolutely, like, it's not even a case of, okay, academia world doesn't want to acknowledge this because they've had to absolutely cut away a lot of their, what am I saying here? Whew.
Yeah, academia, everything's by the book. The book is the truth. Right? That's academia. That's why you're going to learn knowledge through text.
Yes, but then they seem to, it's a demand on those that pursue academia as their source of knowledge and truth. It seems to be a stipulation that they have to then cut out intuition. Except that's what's demanded of, say, a doctor. Like, up till the time they, for all of the education, they are told to just be by the book. You've got to, so that doctors can then, across the world, be in agreement over something. So absolutely understandable. You do want a doctor with all the degrees, but that doesn't mean I don't trust anyone without a degree who has abilities. You know, we come from multicultural. So in our worlds, there are people who are healers. My mother was one. Also extremely computer and tech savvy, my mother. When she passed away, she was 80, and, you know, she knew how to work computers and stuff. But she was she was a healer. My mother's a healer. So I have always, and being multicultural, and Indo and Indo-Fijian, and Fiji is... Fiji, there's magic there.
Special place.
It's a very special place. Fiji is... it has the grounding of the Kaiviti. It has that earth, they're from the earth. Like, if you can think of it, they come from the earth. And then you have the spirituality of the Indo. And from all over India they came. And not understanding that just because we're all, it doesn't mean we're, you know, there's what our ancestors did, the Indo-Fijian ancestors who were the Indians from India. They combined everything. And we've talked about this in depth. I'm going to go back to the news. So, Fiji is a very special place. And, you know, well, colonization played its part. Yeah. But that's not what we're talking about today. This New Age spiritual... so I'm reading. Raquel is among a growing number of people embracing a personalized set of New Age spiritual practices and beliefs. A trend experts say was accelerated by the COVID pandemic. New Age spiritualism is nothing new. It emerged in the 1970s as part of a counterculture movement drawing upon nature worship, occultism, Asian philosophies, and alternative medicine. Now, it's very interesting that they put in...
Hippies?
Yeah, so hippies of the Euro-white world. But New Age spiritualism is nothing new. Yes, for us people of multicultural, it's existed since the dawn of humanity. But everything is still told from a very Euro-white gaze. Even any news thing in English, anything, the templates are all the constructs. So even in multicultural countries, even though they all swear by God, you have in politics in countries like Fiji, everyone is in Parliament, they will cite God as a factual reason for something to be true.
You take the oath and your hands on the Bible. You take any oath in Parliament, in court.
See, that's crazy. So that means so many people are quite happy to lie.
When they swear the President of the United States in, his hand is on the Bible.
Oh, holy cow. I, for some reason, thought it was a book of, like a constitution. That you swear to protect the people of the country that you're serving. You have been elected to serve. In the highest order, the highest order means, well, you're the highest servant, mate.
For God and country.
Wow. Wow. So, no wonder there's just lies everywhere. So going back to this headline, right? So yes, because we're all searching for something, and it's not just a case of everyone. There is something, we know, we feel it, and I don't understand why I do understand. We convinced ourselves, by we I mean human beings, that none of that stuff we see in movies, we read in books, that we actually know exists, because the fact that we are living beings is one of,
yeah.
It's the greatest miracle ever. Human beings. It is the manifestation of that which we call God on the planet that is God that created us for us to serve it. Her, God, Earth. We're looking for ourselves. We look in the mirror. We don't look at ourselves, we look at our exterior. Anyway, I'm going to move on. So this, and now academics will have you believe it's all bogus, all the spirituality, it's all New Age stuff. It only came out because everyone wants connection and everyone's turning into things. Because if people identify more with, say, astrology, and when I say astrology, I am talking about the Western evolution of astrology that came via Mesopotamia, Greek, all that stuff, Mesopotamia, but actually is Indo-Persian, so Indo-Aryan. And it all comes from there. The trajectory is like that. You dig far enough and it's very easily found. For all the purveyors of lies, there are also the chroniclers of truth. And it's there. You just have to know what to seek. We all know something's going on. We all know that there is I can't explain it. I get lost for words, and that's really the whole point. Because this, whatever it is, existed way before words did. So what came first? The chicken or the egg? The Daily Egg. On Sunday, January 21st, 2024. It's supposed to be the fancy egg, but this is a hybrid of the Daily Egg and One Take News, which I'm going to get to. I assure you, for those of you who thank you, my darling, who haven't seen One Take News before, well, it's actually just a news hour of me reading the headlines I've curated over the week throughout the world. I get news from all over the world, from major newspapers in Australia and trusted, because you've got to read what everyone's saying. So the news outlets, I have about 60 news outlets, and by news outlets I also mean things like Twitter and social media, what comment section, what are people doing, talking, thinking, sharing, so confident in being so, obstinate in that their opinion is the right opinion, etc. It's very interesting to pick up things from people and just observation. So Fiji Times, BBC, CNN, ABC, everything, India Times, Al Jazeera, Samoa, Post Korean, PNG, Radio New Zealand, stuff in New Zealand. I get news from all over the world, different perspectives, so that I can really get a rounded idea of what actually is happening in the world and people's perception, because our perception is ruled by where we get the information from. And if you don't unpack it, and if you take it for the absolute truth, that which is known as gospel, that's where some problems start. Anyway, but we know that there's something going on. Don't let it all exists before. Spirituality exists everywhere, my friends. It is why we dance, it is why we sing, it is why we love. Anyway, so now that all of this seeking of self via astrology, via the spirituality that is us, we came from it, we came with it. And I'm talking about Western astrology, is a better way to actually group people. Astrology is a better way to group people than racial groupings, skin color, age. I'm in my 50s. I click with younger people in their 20s, not just click, learn. So it's a mutual thing with everybody. It's a mutual learning thing. Age, but a number, sure, but it's adaptability.
Sure.
And we do connect more with people according to the characteristics of the Western sun sign astrology is what I'm talking about right now. But there's all of them, like there's Hindu Vedic astrology. There's of course Chinese astrology. Every culture, ancient culture, had some form of correlation of science and spirituality where they've looked at the stars, and people have kept records not knowing what they're keeping. Way before words, they understood that something happened to people when that big round thing shining at night, then everyone went a bit cuckoo around them,
First Nations of Australia.
Absolutely. They all have, First Nations of this land we call Australia has their own, but so much has been lost, and they didn't chronicle because they didn't think of having to do that. They had their libraries, for want of of telling their stories, but so much. No, they did chronicle. My apologies. So much has been lost in the colonization. 235 years that Australia has existed has pretty much wiped out 100,000 years. 80,000 to 100,000 years of knowledge, spirituality, of wisdom. I think, I'm going to tell you one thing very interesting that Duane and I have talked about. There's a reason Indians are hated. Because you can't colonize us. Oh, they try. I'm not saying it hasn't happened. I know a lot of Oreos, brown on the outside, and kacha papad on the inside is my term for it. Kacha papad is raw, papad, papadum. It's spelled papadum because the D, when the way we say it, papad, that D is actually an R, but not an R. Doesn't matter. So yeah, we're all so fragmented. So ADHD is a result of that. The fragmentation, again, not a medical professional, just lived experience, observations, and information gathering and unpacking what's right. So as I had said, I have not been diagnosed with ADHD, but I absolutely recognize how trauma fragmented my brain in such a way as I exhibit a hell of a lot of those symptoms, but also because I put in coping mechanisms for myself There's a lot, like I don't have a messy house, yet I can have 3 baskets of clothes that I've washed and folded and put in the laundry, and I have to put them away. I can't do that. It's something happens. So, where was I? Try not to chew in your ear, so give me a moment. So yeah, the prevalence of all of that, you're seeing more and more. And now, look, I must say, while we're here, Western sun sign astrology. Hindu Vedic goes by moon, so that's more of a what the moon is doing during the time of birth, etc. Now, what was I saying with that? So yes, it's the age of Aquarius. Now, Aquarians really are the saviors. Ha! Jokes. Sorry. But it is the age of Aquarius. And what does that mean for you? Look, we won't talk about it too much right now because this is supposed to be a casual news hour. So we're going to move on. And these are things that perhaps we'll do the deep dive into. I have been wanting to do an astrology deep dive. Duane and I have talked about it in depth because Duane wasn't really into astrology. But Duane, my darling, you have always said you believe in magic. So despite the logic and fact that you are and present day, you are very much... Sorry,
I don't not believe in it. It's just I don't follow anything in particular. You know, so it exists. So I don't mock it. I do understand it. I love it. It's magical. Yeah, I love magic things. And it's been around for
however long
forever.
we've been around. Oops, sorry.
Forever.
So on our podcast, Radio Fly, the link is in my bio, there is an in-depth episode about it, but I think I want to redo it because I want to talk more about the scientific aspects of astrology and how it correlates with astronomy, because we're also science, astrophysics, and astronomy freaks. So for us, and for me, it's very interesting because I do also monitor what's happening on a daily basis in the planet-wise, astronomy-wise. And it's very then interesting to see that an astronomical movement, then how it affects the astrological aspect. It's very, very enlightening. It's fascinating and wonderful. But we'll talk about that another time. Now, because for a long time, because we had moved into live, because I don't want anything processed, pre-processed and produced. It has to be live. There's way too much that is not real. Way too many. Now, forget deep fakes. Now you're actually seeing just AI robbing, taking faces from celebrities.
Well, they have AI-generated newsreaders now.
AI-generated newsreaders, folks. So get your news from me. Because you know this shit is real. I'm sorry for ads crawling all over the place. So yeah, we'll quickly move on to the rest. So still on Australian Broadcasting Commission. Wow. Domestic violence homicides in Queensland up 50% as police commit to extra specialist officers. So they're not going to go and find out the reason for this. Why this headline absolutely, grabbed me, because of course, regular viewers know, domestic violence, etc., is very much part of my history. I grew up with it. I grew up watching my beloved God, my mother, being subjected to it, and also being extremely privileged. But, so the extreme. Right, that's it. So, this is why these things... I have been able to, and with two friends in recent times who we found each other through whatever medium and are able to unpack these things, it makes you feel like, holy cow, that means there's not something wrong with me. There's actually
nice,
something. Yeah, to be able to connect with people who then share their. It's like, oh my God, there's something really, really fucking wrong with people. Males. So, our first podcast episode, our first Radio Fly episode for 2024 is called The Manual. It's only an hour because I'm restructuring myself. It's time now. I had to absolutely just go boom with everything. I had to. I have no mystery left, you think. Ha! I assure you, my friends, I have not shown all my depths because fuck, I don't know it all. Damn. But yes, so that will be available on, the link will be on my bio, and it's an hour where we talk about, we called it The Manual, and I don't know, maybe you'll get bored, maybe you'll find it interesting, who knows. It's up to you again. So, let me continue reading this article. Domestic and family violence-related homicides in Queensland have risen by 50% in a year, while police will spend the next 2 years recruiting more than 100 additional specialist officers to help staff vulnerable persons units. Queensland police data revealed there were 24 people allegedly murdered by intimate partners or family members in the last financial year. Oh, I'm sorry, is it affecting the bottom dollar? ABC, what an interesting sentence. So now, the murder of women by their partners is... It's... Just throw that into the financial year and we'll do a profit and loss statement at the end of it, and like profit and loss, 24 women murdered, but profits up. What the fuck is that?
Far out. So they're investigating it now because of the taxes.
Probably. Because I gotta tell you folks, cost of living, cost of dying is very expensive. Caskets, funeral plot, all that stuff, holy cow. Expensive, so it's cheaper to live. Sad, huh? Anyway. Where was I? So listen to this, huh? About a third of the alleged killers had a domestic violence order against them, or had contact with police in the 12 months before the deaths. So it's all about getting more police to staff vulnerable people instead of actually getting psychologists, instead of actually now really going to the crux of the problem. This is what I'm saying about how it's been really my transparency, my decision to just do this, to just unpack everything publicly. People think I had a breakdown, a public breakdown. Yeah, wish. I just had a public birth.
Yeah, well.
So this is insane that it's all, so as I said, because of my transparency, I've been able to connect. I have connected with people who are also transparent about what happened to them, and listening and hearing to what they've gone through, the violence they endured as children. It's as young people, not just, when I say children, I mean anyone under 18 really now, and really frankly anyone under 25. If the brain is still forming till we're 25, anyone under 25 is still a child and should be cocooned and allowed to grow with health. No one has been growing up with health. Privilege gives you that. So one of my saving graces was that I did grow up with privilege. So even though I had extreme trauma, the privilege side sort of like, the fuck is going on? I'll take the privilege. yeah, back of my spine, it's all right. It's just, I got privilege. But I absolutely understand that there is something really, really wrong with male folk. And they're fucking up the women. As I said to you yesterday, darling, it's like males are subconsciously blaming women for bringing them into this world, ill-equipped to face the world. And they're blaming the world Also, misogynists come in all genders and shapes and sizes, and I unfortunately know way too many women misogynists because I attract them as friends, attracted, and it's wonderful to bask under my because I'm a woman's woman. I love women, I just in platonic ways. I just think women are, mwah, I love humans. So there's something wrong with males, and it's really interesting. Queensland has a real problem with them, and what do you think it is? It's the heat. Heat with people who can't. Maybe our brains were also not meant to. Brains were not meant to have perhaps heat, electricity, alcohol, all of these things that fuck up the neural pathways wiring. What's going? Queensland has a real problem with it.
Is this specific to race, or is it just generic, or across the board? Queensland, right? Okay.
I mean, horrific stuff. I don't want to talk about horrific stuff, but so these are the headlines doing these things, and instead of and we're not even talking about Indigenous.
Yeah, right.
But it's a mixture of all racial groupings, and of course, if you have, people don't want to address issues like if alcohol is. So let's say things like alcohol is a problem for a racial grouping, right? But they won't, or they'll say that a racial grouping they're alcoholics and stuff, but they won't address the issue. Instead, they will demand that alcohol isn't available to these people and blah blah blah. Like, I don't know. It's instead of seeing that, well, perhaps alcohol isn't quite the issue. Perhaps the fact that these people are not treated well by these people. I mean, the First Nations people of this land we call Australia. So if they're already completely disconnected from what they're supposed to be, electricity, alcohol, all of these man-made constructs of things harnessed from the earth. Electricity is of the earth. It is a gift given to us. So as we evolve, we are better able to be autonomous or independent tribes of our own. And that's what families are, just tribes. Alcohol comes from the planet and has been used to suppress.
Well, how about this? It is a simple idea I have. Just have thought of right now.
Sorry. Yeah.
The violence is increasing, and so is the cost of living. Is that could that even be a factor? That's stressful. The cost of living,
Darling, I have to cut you off there because that's almost sounding like an apology for the abusers.
No, absolutely. No, I'm not making excuses, but people stress about that stuff.
Absolutely,
and alcohol
exacerbates it.
So there's a combination of things happening that's setting people off. But again, no excuses, right?
No excuses, because
I know.
and I'm sorry, we laughed through things.
We have to.
You have to. But what I'm saying is that we're just masking. All of this is masking instead of unraveling and going back to source. Like, why? I'm not saying we need to now feel sorry for the abusers and fuck them off the planet, thanks.
That's what I'm sounding like.
Yeah.
But no.
No, I know that's not what you think like, but that's, for those of you who aren't familiar with the way you speak, that's what it may sound like. So we're now becoming like, we must understand our abusers, like that stupid movie that they made about the Joker, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker.
Yeah.
No, mate. And we're comic book freaks, for those of you who don't know. We are, when I say comic book freaks, we understand that within all of this is a lot of knowledge, and I don't understand why comic books are considered children's books when, no.
But it's just a good example to use in this case, yeah? So, like finding an excuse for his insanity.
Right.
The idea of the Joker was that he's just evil, you know.
But this is now the one thing that is interesting about this is that I do think that people are born now evil, and that is a product of society.
Yeah.
A generational product.
Yeah.
So people don't necessarily turn evil because it's always our choice.
Yeah. But
So-
it's within us all.
So we cite the character, and for me, I have to now explain that Duane and I see the world, and we know why fiction exists, why literature, characters exist, because they're supposed to be depictions of human beings that we won't take seriously amongst each other. So when we see it in entertainment, it's okay, it's palatable. So we cite, characters from Eurostream, pop culture, anything, literature. Now with the Joker, so in Joaquin Phoenix's, I don't know who wrote that, I don't know who directed it, but it was like, he became this way because of life. No, boo-hoo. We all go through this shit, and we all have to make choices. And sadly, there are too many fragmented minds in the world now, and the brain then glitches, malfunctions. So we have this forgiveness clause in our law where you can cite insanity and for heinous crimes committed by your psyche. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Because I have, as regular viewers know, I have not been shy about how deep into my depression I have gone. I have been suicidal for 45 years. Every day just figuring out ways to do it, and then wondering, should I do my nails so that when I lie down and my nails... Suicide talk? Hey, you want to talk suicide? Let's talk suicide. Or mental health, really. So, what I'm saying is I understand how low, and I know you do as well. So, we all have choice. And the brain does malfunction, but I think the brain gives us plenty of clues way before the malfunction sets in. It's whether or not you choose to listen to yourself. And that's the problem. We are all so far removed from ourselves, no one's able to listen to their own guidance system. Everyone looks to everything outside. So as much as I am a believer in astrology because it exists, people still hide behind it instead of looking at who they are. They still use it to explain something about themselves. And then say, oh, well, I'm a shithead because I'm nah. Yeah, not good enough. I think these explanations are given so you can understand who you are and then make a choice. But everyone's fragmented, everyone's fractured. Whew, let's we can go and talk, we can apply it to the world. So of course, no news show would be complete without mentioning, well, from Al Jazeera, deadly Israeli attacks across Gaza, overnight arrests in occupied West Bank. Israel drops leaflets seeking intel on captives as Gaza attacks continue. I'm just going to read some headlines from Al Jazeera. Russian lawmakers to debate seizing property of those who discredit army. Putin is, by the way, heading into a lot of trouble. He started a chain reaction. His ego and little dick, frankly, started a chain reaction that is being felt in supermarkets in Fiji. Because fuel has become such a problem, so problematically expensive, for a number of reasons, and the pandemic lockdowns really also threw a spanner in the works, because the fuel problems have been happening for decades now, and that's all of this is all about bottom dollar. Fuel, oil, rich, all that. So, But Putin's actions invading Ukraine, threat of being invaded themselves. Hello, who's going to invade Russia? We watched the movies, all right? No one's invading Russia. But unfortunately, that chain reaction is going to come. It's now going to be the demise of. Whew. So I'm not unhappy with the series of things that have unfolded. I'm not happy about them.
Well,
you can't be happy about world tragedy and misery and human, the cost of human life. We're talking about the cost of living, but we don't care about the cost of human life. These are just numbers to us. 20,000, 10,000, 20,000 people killed. Numbers. Whew. And so listen, but you have to seek news from trusted sources, not just trusted sources, because you may trust a source that isn't actually giving you the perspectives that you need in order to form the right observations to get to the truth. So whatever news outlets you get your information from, and I think a lot of people have actually stopped reading because I have had to back off news for a few months now, really. Well, 6 weeks. It's just driving but I force myself to. I still, 3 hours a day kind of thing. But for the last 2 weeks, I knew I couldn't. I was feeling like this. But I'm over that now, and I'm back. And definitely, this is the more casual intro into One Take News. But when I do come back with it, we will be very news focused. As I said, just to recap, what I do with One Take News is I curate the news headlines from the week, and I will choose some to deep dive and research and unpack as much as possible. And also, if there's one headline, one issue, I will find what everyone is saying about that and give you the perspective from all these different. And then that's here. And then Duane processes it and puts it up on our YouTube channel, STV, with, just little clips and bits and things over here and there. So I'm going to read a few more news articles. How long? And we're also restructuring because I'm going to now, keep this. Because who's got 4 hours to listen to the things, I do, because I'm talking. But you don't. Okay, so listen. So from Pedestrian TV. Now, Pedestrian is one of my favorite news outlets. It's Australian because they're so irreverent. They're just listen to this. The flesh-eating Buruli ulcer is back, and Australia really can be a beautiful hellscape, innit? So the writers for Pedestrian are very casual. And so, yes, there's a flesh-eating ulcer doing the rounds in Australia, folks. And also, so is COVID, by the way. Very soon, because in the Northern Hemisphere, cold areas, the variants are really doing some damage. More damage than you understand. Of course, this plays right into the feelings of people who are against the vaccinations. Not quite understanding the vaccinations help to protect you from what they were created for, but the world being such creates variations like, hello, look at us, one species, but so many variations. So many, there's trillions of us. Well, billions. So of course there's going to be variations on viruses. So, now they've got it. But also, I read somewhere, I don't know if I have the headlines, but Chinese are doing some really interesting experiments on things that I'm not really sure I want to know, and I will share with you because this is the other thing. Disease X. Now, if you do read the news, maybe you may not have heard about this, but people have been using Disease X as a sensationalist, as clickbait, right? So from Global News. What's Disease X? World leaders discuss next possible global health threat. Disease X, a hypothetical illness with the potential of 20 times more fatalities than the COVID-19 pandemic, was the focal point of a panel discussion in Switzerland on last Wednesday, where international leaders gathered to deliberate on the potential looming threat. The World Economic Forum held a meeting Wednesday morning called Preparing for Disease X, with a panel of speakers including the World Health Organization, WHO, boom, tsh, and pharmaceutical company AstraZeneca, that were pegged to discuss what novel efforts are needed to prepare the healthcare system for the potential challenges ahead. Disease X represents the knowledge that a serious international epidemic could be caused by a pathogen currently unknown to cause human disease. The goal is to be prepared as much as possible for an unknown Disease X. Disease X is a hypothetical scenario where a very nasty disease, which is more powerful than COVID-19, emerges, explained Kerry Bowman, a professor of bioethics and global health at the University of Toronto. Now wait a moment. This almost sounds like, okay, everyone, brace yourselves. We're about to have another shit load of issues be dumped on us. It kind of seems like, well, if they're going to continue bombing the world and mining the world for, I don't know, batteries for our technology, and, you know, we're continuing to engage in debate about whether or not what's happening in the Middle East is warranted. Like, I don't understand that. I really, by now, it is shocking to actually see pro-colonizer offense forces behavior. It is like, surely. So now when people are like that, and now, of course, the blame game. Well, look, I think we're being fed lies. I think the majority of the world is saying, okay, can we just stop? I'm tired. Everyone's tired. Compassion is something that is inbuilt into our vessels. This is how we are able to interact with human beings, with each other. So, of course, we are all subconsciously absorbing the horrors of this world. And what makes us think that just because we're on the other side of the world from where tyranny is happening in the form of missiles and bombs and bulldozers, upending the earth, you think the earth doesn't feel what's happening? You think that, why is it that if something happens to our toe, we can feel it? So we can feel the injuries happening to the earth. And so can the earth. And that's where the diseases are coming from. And so what we're being told is brace yourselves. Human need to conquer and destroy is actually creating more disease. So even if COVID was derived in a lab, which, as I said, the Chinese are doing some crazy things, that they've discovered a variant that, hey, kills rats. That's great. But they don't know how it's going to affect human beings, but it could actually kill them too, because these rats had human, stuff in them.
Shit.
So Disease X, darling. We're preparing for Disease X. News headlines have been using Disease X and this forum, the World Economic Forum that convened last week, and they're using it as a sensationalist thing to get people even more scared. Don't buy the hype. Understand what is being said. Sure, prepare for the fact that we may have another pandemic. We may have another virus, but they're preparing for it because I think this is how, we thought biochemical warfare was going to be planes flying and dropping all sorts of... Yeah, it's happening now. It's almost like biochemical warfare is attack the earth and the earth will just start shooting up all sorts of viruses to protect. And this is what we're going to... So maybe what people are doing is actually preparing immunity, like gas masks.
Yeah.
Just a theory. If they can, wax on about, it's a hypothetical disease. Well, this is hypotheses.
Sure.
We're just, So according to Al Jazeera, what is Disease X and how will pandemic preparations help the world? It's going to make us all retreat into ourselves again and to lockdown, etc., and just But I actually think humanity, not human beings, humanity is fighting back. More and more of us are becoming aware. If you are here, if you are in this sacred space that is a peer group space, not of interaction, you're here to absorb. You're here to listen to a point of view, which, because of my transparency, because that was why I needed to absolutely break myself apart, break down the constructs I had created for myself, to hide behind, so that my word is seen and heard and absorbed, and it's no such thing as my word, its truth is all I want to say. And if I don't say it, then it's not because it's not, it's because it's privacy. Transparency, privacy. Truth. We need to be vocally telepathic. So, join us for One Take News, because I endeavor to provide a well-rounded perspective on what is happening in the world. Peppered with, healthily, very liberally peppered with my observations and your insights.
Sure.
So I did have a lot of other news things, but really, look, now they're all just... Oh, except for if you're going to Venice soon, because there are people still traveling all over the world. If you're going to Venice, you're going to start getting charged for day trippers entry. I've been to Venice. I saw how crazy crowded it is. Venice is absolutely art. It is absolutely art. It is sinking this human need to just get stamps on passports just to say, we're privileged, is unfortunately, tourism is actually sinking the world, because we forgot about travelism, about culturalism.
The amount of people now.
Sure, but there's also, it's not just about exploring the world, it's about running away from present day existence and using travel to actually... But people aren't absorbing, learning, etc. This is why people dress so badly when they're traveling. It's like they don't care. I was like, what? Ew. Anyway, there you go. So that's the Daily Egg hybrid One Take News, a very casual version of it. And next week, so it's a weekly thing, but every Daily Egg now is going to incorporate headlines. So thank you very much for being here today with us. I hope you enjoy the day as much as possible. There's crazy things happening in the world. We know you cannot hide away from that and stick your head in the sand. However, you can also understand that you need to feel joy, personal happiness, in order to counteract that which does not want us to feel that, but not in denial, with knowledge of everything. Okay, well, thank you for being here today. We may see you later, we may not, but it's always a pleasure. Bye.